highlighted how Republicans believe that bigger government will not help Americans get ahead. Rather, he said, as you saw, it will hold them back. Alan Colmes is joining us now, host of the Alan Colmes Radio Show and a Fox News contributor. Gretchen Hamel is a former spokeswoman for the House Republican Conference. Welcome to you both. So obviously, both of these speeches really closely watched last night. No doubt Marco Rubio wants to make his mark for himself, wants to make it very clear how he is very different from the president in terms of his philosophy and turning the economy around, Alan.
Well, I don't know what he... By the way, it was great product placement. I think that's what that thing was about. And I thought it was very funny that he tweeted a picture, I think, of him with the water bottle. But that aside, I don't know what he offered that was new. And he seemed like he was responding to a speech that I didn't hear the president give when he started talking about, again, how the president wants to raise taxes on the middle class, which if he has not done, I don't know what he was referring to in some of the criticism of the president. He also said he was going to be less critical than he was going to be ahead of the speech in offering remedies. I didn't hear any remedies other than the same old tired, Democrats want to raise your taxes. Democrats think government is the answer to everything, which is the opposite of what the president said and the opposite of what the president's done. So I don't know what he was responding to. I don't think he responded to the actual speech President Obama gave last night.
I don't know. I thought in many ways he did. Gretchen, what did you think?
Oh, I thought he did respond. I mean, let's be honest. He was left a little parched after hearing the president and his big spending agenda. But they did agree on one thing, and that was immigration. But for the most part, there was clearly a big divide between the president and Rubio. The president basically laid out the same thing that he has for the past 4 years. To expand government. He wants more spending. He wants to increase deficits and more bailouts, more stimulus. And Rubio said, no, we need something different. We need to put the power in the people's hands and let the Americans do what is best and get the government out of the way.
I mean, I don't know, Alan, how you can look at it any other way, really. And
well,
you know, some people believe.
That's why I'm here.
Let me finish my question. Some people believe that this is the way to stimulate the economy, and the president is clearly one of them. But he talked about expanding education spending. He talked about expanding green energy, expanding infrastructure spending, and he said that all of these things would create so much growth that the programs that once they were put in place and the growth that they spurred, you would not necessarily have to take on any more deficit spending. It has not worked that way thus far.
Well, there hasn't been deficit spending. As a matter of fact, the deficit is down. The rate of spending is down under this president, and projected deficits are down, and certainly deficit as percentage of the GDP is down. So it's not accurate to say that deficits are going up under this president. And furthermore, we've seen that spending, the stimulus bill, for example, and even the one that started under George W. Bush, which is TARP, has actually helped the economy. So, in fact, had we spent more and faster, it would have helped the economy even more.
Gretchen, now let's look at the facts here. Since the president has taken office, we are nearly $6 trillion more in debt. So to say that he hasn't deficit spent,
the deficit's down.
It's just...
It's such a
come on, Alan.
The deficit. You know, the increase in deficit might be down. The percentage of GDP might be down, but as Gretchen clearly states, it is $6 trillion higher than it was, which is a record
$6 trillion higher
increase during a single presidency. That is
You're coming off of a stimulus, so that shows that there may be a little bit of blip in how much it is per GDP because we just went and put $800 billion into the economy. But if you look at his record, it has shown that this president doesn't care about the debt and deficits. It's the same promises he made in 2009 to cut the deficit in half by the time he finished his first term, and he did not do that. Now, to go to your point about how it fuels the GDP, look back at the GDP numbers. We had the negative growth for the first time in 3.5 years. Why? Because it showed that the government was propping up our economy, and that is living on borrowed time and borrowed money.
I guess, I want to get back to Marco Rubio here for the last question, because we could go back and forth on that for a while. You know, is Marco Rubio emerging as, you know, sort of the new standard bearer, but, you know, short of election period for the GOP? Alan, what do you think?
I think Republicans would like that. They certainly like to have somebody with Hispanic heritage be that person. I think that they'd like him to be a symbol of an expanding possible electorate that the Republicans can appeal to. Whether or not he can actually fill that role, I don't really know. I didn't say that he offered anything new. What was the alternative the Republicans offered last night beside, again, the same old criticisms of the Democrats that they always give every year after year?
Last thought on whether or not Marco Rubio is emerging as, you know, a lot of attention has been given to him over the past couple of weeks. Is he that man right now?
Well, right now he is a man with a great story that many Americans can relate to, and he's got a different vision, and a different vision than the one that we're hearing from the president. So for those reasons, yes, he is someone that is standing out amongst the Republicans.
All right, Gretchen, thank you very much. Alan, as always, thanks for being here as well.
I drink Poland Spring.